talk a little bit about the music and how not only is it original score, but sung live and in many cases at concert venues that are impossible to shoot at. How did you do it?
Well, we have the real deal here, so the rest of the movie had to live up to that. Otherwise,
so you sent her in first?
Always.
Okay,
yeah.
Right.
So there was no way that even down to Saturday Night Live, there was no version of us not shooting at Saturday Night Live, or I would have to take it out of the script because of the reality of who's playing Ali Campana. And quite honestly, ideas come out of constraints, and we had a relatively small budget with this film. So I started. Terrence Malick had just made Song to Song, and I had watched the trailer, and because I had. One of the first compositions in my head was this idea of being subjective on the stage and never leaving it. And I saw in the trailer that he had done it, and luckily he took my call, and I just asked him about it. He said, yeah, we shot a lot of that at South by Southwest over 2 weeks. So that was where the idea, and I thought, well, and I talked to Bill, I said, well, maybe let's start looking at concert venues and see if we could hop on stages in between people's sets. So at Stagecoach, after Jamie Johnson, before Willie Nelson, luckily, there was the happenstance of Lucas Nelson, who's an incredible musician, and his band Promise of the Real is Jackson's band. And so Lucas asked his father if we could hop on for 8 minutes before his set, and he said, sure, whatever you need. So luckily we had already done Coachella. She had headlined it the 2 weekends before, so we had access to the grounds for a week. We could control that. So I had a little bit of experience at that point. So then me and a sort of guerrilla crew, we went to Stagecoach, and we had 8 minutes, and we shot that opening of the movie in 8 minutes. And then I go to Glastonbury Music Festival every year and have gotten to know the owners, Nick and Emily, and they had never let anybody shoot their fictional movie. And they said, well, if you can get somebody to play into their set, we'll let you do it, go on the Pyramid stage. And anybody that knows about music, that is the rite of passage for musicians, to play at the Pyramid stage in front of 80,000 people. You know, those flags, that's very emblematic of that festival in particular. Chris Christopherson happened to be playing last summer. Isn't that insane? He was on set, we were at the Chateau, and I think you asked his wife, is there any way? And she absolutely, whatever you guys need. Well, they gave us 4 minutes.
Whatever you need.
So me and Matthew Libatique, the cinematographer, and Steve Marr, the sound guy, we flew to England, and we're on the side of the stage, and we jumped on for 4 minutes and sang at the Pyramid stage. And just the production value, that would have been half of our budget of the movie.
On a technical level, you know, it was so brilliant, the way that everything was run. You know, he was performing and singing live every time, but we couldn't play the music for the audience in order for us to get a clean vocal. So, you know, to have the audience react that way and to have it captured that way and to also have the live element, I mean, this for me was such a dream to watch.
And I have to say also, Eric Johnson, who was the musical consultant, was invaluable. This is a guy that has been around. He's now the tour manager for Metallica, and he and Robbie, the guy that he works with, they gave everything they had, and that was the pure joy of this. You know, it's a collaboration. That's why I love this art form.
How is this world? How is the music industry when you started different than the one now that we see in this movie?
When I started, it was what we did in this movie. You know, it was about creating music, not thinking about hit records, being true to the story that was being told or the beliefs of a particular musician and what they, or a band and what they wanted to put out there. And just hearing her say those lyrics, it's like, you know, we moved into her house, you know, and did her screen test there and talked about the script there, and Bradley and Gaga would talk about music and what it needed to be, and Mark Ronson would show up. I mean, and Lucas Nelson then showed up, and you know, it was old school. This whole movie's been old school, and it's been, for me, an amazing experience because I come from that world of working with, you know, people that wrote their own material and performed it and believed in it, and you know, were album artists. They weren't single artists. They were people who had longevity, and so everything about it was kind of a throwback to the great days of the record business. And you know, we're going to be on vinyl in a couple of days, and it's a real album, and there are real songs, and you see a trajectory of the story. So
and there's dialogue.
And there's dialogue.
Whose idea was that?
Yeah, that was something that we had talked about, and that really was her idea. It's such a. I remember Quentin Tarantino had done that with Pulp Fiction, and that soundtrack.
I remember being terrified, asking him if I could use the dialogue from the film, because it's so precious, you know. And he filmed it like poetry, and he edited it with Jay like music. And, you know, to lend the dialogue to the soundtrack, it provides for an experience, I hope, for people that after they see the movie, they can go home and put the soundtrack on and feel like they're re-experiencing the movie with the music again. You know, it was so special, and every single bit of dialogue I would send to him with the song, time it out perfectly. Do you like the rhythm? Do you like when it comes in? Is this the right way? Are these the right words? You know, we all worked together.
Sam, I know you said this morning that you actually cry when you watch it. This is a movie that makes people cry, and he cries for a good reason.
I think that too has to do with old age.
No, there must be a moment.
Yeah, there's lots of moments,
Yeah.
but that moment too, that moment that Billy just talked about, in the line, you know, to tag it on to what Stephanie so beautifully just said. What Jack says to her is, "Trust me, it's all you got to do." You know, and I can speak to that as well. You know, when I had my initial encounter with Bradley, who I'd never met before, he said to me in that 2 hours we were together, "If you'll just trust me, man, you'll be happy you came." You know, and I just think out of trust comes the truth. You know, we got to tell the truth. We got to love each other and tell the truth, and it does touch me.
When you two had this first meeting, did that stand as the chemistry read? Was that it, this first meeting, where you knew she was the one that you wanted to play?
I mean, it wasn't I didn't go there sort of trying to audition her at all. I had seen her sing the night before, or 2 nights before, and was completely blown away. And it really was about trying to share with her the story I wanted to tell and see if it was of interest to her. And then, lo and behold, we realized there's this incredible chemistry, and we just felt so comfortable with each other. That's the only reason why I think I don't know how I had the courage to say, let's sing together 10 minutes in.
It's pretty ballsy.
I loved it.
Yeah.
You know, I thought about it driving up, and I thought, well, maybe I won't. I don't know. And then I walked in the living room waiting for her, and I saw, God damn it, there's a piano in the living room. I have to do it now. And then so we were in the kitchen. I said, do you know that folk song, Midnight Special? No. I was like, I don't know, there's a piano in your living room. Should we just try it? Because if this doesn't work, then there's no reason to even keep talking. Right? And then and it just sort of went from there. But
God, if that was a bad day instead of the good day it was, where would we all be now?
yeah, but there'd be no movie, that's for
It
sure.
would be something would be
Yeah.
awful.
But there's one thing to have chemistry. I mean, I have to say, and that there's this thing, and it's another thing to then put the work in. And I have to say, what she did, the amount of work. I don't know if other actors would put the amount of work in preparation. I mean, we spent 2 months just preparing for our characters, and her entrusting me to do all the things that I wanted to try to do in order to make sure that these two characters were going to be able to operate in a way when we were shooting that was authentic and spontaneous, so we could capture something real that I could then put in to make a story. And it really is due to her work ethic, besides her incredible talent as an actor. And everybody else.
I was inspired by yours. Relentless work ethic, and just a passion like gasoline.
So there was no day you said, enough, Bradley.
No,
Enough
no.
with this.
No.
No.
It was like I always wanted to rise to the occasion, you know. And on the first day that we shot, you know, it almost worked to my disadvantage because I had so overly memorized my lines that I was like a robot. He didn't say, like one time, exactly the line that I thought he was going to say to me, so I just repeated back to him the line before that I said, and I just kept repeating the same line. And then he goes, "Are you okay?" and he goes, "Do you want to cry? Do you need to cry?" And then we were in a Mexican restaurant, and I was like, "I need to," and I started crying, and I cried into my tacos, and I was eating them, but he taught me something that day, very important, that you have to know your lines.
Let's start with that.
But you have to know what you're saying, the story that you're telling, what is your objective in the scene, what's happening, and you have to have a real conversation so that, you know, do the work. But when you get on set, you got to throw that out the window, and you've got to go right onto set and just be. And, you know, he tells it to me in the movie, and he told me off camera, all you got to do is trust me. And he built a trust between not just us, but this whole cast and the crew, the producers, everyone from top to bottom, that we all trusted him and each other. And I can't say enough about this brilliant man.
Yeah. Thank you all. You did a hell of a job with your 12 notes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.